Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. So I'm actually doing something really cool today. I'm recording this, and I'm also on Facebook Live at the same time, so people can interact with me and ask questions and let me know as I'm sharing these concepts if they have any feedback or they want any clarity on anything. So it's going to be a little bit more interactive than usual. So if I stop here for a second at any time, it's just because I'm trying to read people's comments and want to see what the questions are. So today what I want to discuss is partnership. And what I mean by partnership is we look at partnership as just something that happens. Most people will look at it just as an intimate relationship. Okay. I want to kind of expand that for you guys today, because this is a conversation that got started we have a group coaching community, which we're about to rebrand to call Have It All Academy. So in that community, this concept kind of got brought up, and I want to expand the fact that partnership is not just in an intimate relationship. In fact, it's not just with other people. You have partnerships in your life with everything. You have a partnership in life with your health or your diet. You have partnership in life with technology. You have partnership in life with your idea of education. Every concept, every construct, every idea that you have a partnership with. Now, some of those are friendly partnerships, and other of them are opposition type partnerships. So either it's like your greatest mentor or greatest friend, or your greatest nemesis or enemy, right? And depending on how you construct that idea in your head will depend on how you go out and react and respond to that situation. So what I want to do today is investigate a little bit further on how you can alter these partnerships into ones that you can win with. So Wendy, who's actually on Facebook Live, I'm going to actually use your example because I thought it was really, really great, and I hope you don't mind me sharing it. So we were talking about a lifestyle, like a health, diet type lifestyle. And there was a lot of resistance at the time to what this new health lifestyle actually restricted someone from doing. And there's a lot of things in your life that you have, like in these relationships, that are restricting or stop you from being something or doing something that you really, really love. Now, when you go at it that way, that is your relationship, right? And it's an oppositional type of relationship. This thing, person, circumstance, whatever, is stopping you from being able to do something that you want to do. Now, how many of you guys have some sort of opposition or some sort of, nemesis or thing? How does that work for you? When you're in an oppositional state, you're in a constant argument with life, with that circumstance, with that person, with that situation on they should be another way. It should be another way. I want it to be another way. All that kind of stuff. And because of it, it's tiring. It's draining. Half the day you're in this battle. It's like you're almost going to war. Where on the other side, you have these relationships which are beautiful blessings, right? Like You create a partnership. You have someone to work with. You have someone to share an experience with, grow something with. And so what we want to focus on is how to alter those relationships with everything. If you have any area in your life right now that you are meeting with resistance, and by the way, we know that famous line, like what you resist persists. So in the grand scheme of things, when you're resisting things, in reality, you're just creating more of it. It's like you're saying to the universe, yes, I want more resistance in my life. I want more of this thing in my life. And so what you want to start doing is altering that relationship, okay? Creating partnership. And so for this example, right, everything like this diet is a relationship. You can build a relationship with this diet. And when you look at things and circumstances as a relationship, I'm a marketing person. So like in our business, we do a lot of marketing. We look at marketing like I have a relationship with marketing. In fact, I have a relationship with every campaign that I run either for myself or clients. Now, there's some relationships with campaigns that I'd rather forget about, right? But if I'm in that position, if I'm from that state of mind going into it, I already have all this baggage of like, I'm coming in there with this kind of warrior, like, oh, shit's broken, like I gotta fix this shit, instead of actually interacting with that in that moment. So people on live, just let me know if that's clear to you so far, and if you have any follow-up questions to anything like that. So here's what I want you guys to do. First things first. First step is realize that everything in your life is a relationship. Now, here's the great news. If everything in your life is a relationship, by the virtue of you handling one relationship, you in turn handle all relationships. I'm going to say that again. If everything in life is a relationship, both to inanimate and humans and circumstances, it's all relationship. If you handle one relationship, you've now gotten access to all relationships. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about the Have It All Academy. It's how do you have this in your entire scope? One of the things that I just got off a coaching call with one of our clients here, and she's a rock star in business, kicking ass, like business is doing amazing. And there's this whole other area of life, which is around relationships, that's not rocking and rolling, right? That's not a 10. Our whole thing, the reason we created Have It All Academy is that we stand for every area of your life being a 10. Now, most people hear that and they're like, that's fucking impossible. Well, I'm here to tell you it's absolutely possible. There's a certain balance that we can find. And balance, right? Like when you're in a committed partnership, so I don't know how many of you are married. I'm about to be married for 8 years. I can tell you that the only way you can sustain a marriage for a long period of time, my parents are now married for this September will be 37 years. Okay. And it's all due because they created partnership. And every single one of us knows a couple who's oppositional. Everything they do is oppositional. It's like they're constantly at war with each other. They might stay together, but they may as well not be together. Right? They might live in the same house, but they're not living together. You get that? So what we want to try to do is actually create that kind of partnership. So that's the first thing, is figure out that everything is a relationship. Second piece is now work on one relationship. So if there's a relationship in your life that you're resigned to, that you just have it like, well, that's just the way it is, and I don't really want to deal with it because there's nothing that I can do to make that fix that. Maybe that's not necessarily the relationship to look at first, because there's a lot of friction there, right? There's a lot of emotion there. But you can go to another relationship. So, for example, like if you're talking about health, right? You have a relationship with your diet, okay? Well, the way that you approach that relationship is the same way that you probably approach certain things with your husband or wife. It's the same way that you approach certain things with your business partner. It's the same way that you approach certain things with your friend. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And for a long time, I used to think that it was the way you do one thing in relationships is the way you do everything in relationships. The way you do one thing with your health is the way you do everything with health. But it's not. It's really like everything, right? The way that you are with your health is the same way that you are with your kids. The same way you are with your husband or wife is the same way you are with your friends. And what you want to start looking at is the patterns of like, what are those ways and how do I operate in those relationships? And start reverse engineering the things that are working and those that are not. And I guarantee you the things that are not working are where you are not in partnership, but rather in opposition. You're in an argument about something in that relationship. And that might be that that person is doing something or isn't doing something to your liking. They're calling me too much. They're not calling me enough. I never get to see them. They never make an effort. Like whatever that thing is, right? And then take that, like your reaction to that, where does that stem from? And when you understand where that stems from and why you get triggered in that moment, you can then start looking at every other relationship in your life. Every other relationship. Like, how do I show up in a business setting? How do I show up with my kids? How do I show up with my wife or husband? And you're going to start seeing patterns. And those patterns are gold. They're gold. Because it's very easy to say, well, no, I'm not this way with this person. I guarantee you that's bullshit. I've coached thousands of people. We don't want to see the things about ourselves, right? Like, you don't want to see certain aspects of your life because some of them are ugly. Like, realizing that you're a fucking asshole is not an easy thing. And yet, here's the ultimate idea of this whole thing. If your life is like a movie screen, okay? And it's just big white movie screen, right? And then life gets to show up on this huge, huge screen. Every place that you have resistance, every place that you have, lack of self-expression or lack of freedom or lack of vulnerability or lack of power or lack of anything like that, basically what shows up on the screen is like, it's like a black spot, right? Now, you could still see me, obviously, right? But there's a part of the image that's not coming through. And then basically it's like this and then like that. And, we just like constantly put things. So what we're looking through is like this. It's like, hey. And for you guys, it would be like that. Now you could still see, but it's distorted, right? And so every time you eliminate one of these persistent complaints, every time you eliminate one of these black spots, every time you eliminate a tool or strategy that you have that is just not effective, that is causing you grief, that is having your mind like spin out, that is keeping you up at night, that is making you fat, that is making you unhealthy, that is annoying other people in your life, every time you do that and remove one of those spots, you now allow for a new movie to show in a completely different way. And that's the game, guys. That's the game. So when people ask me like, why it's painful sometimes to look at the things in my life that I need to relieve. Well, guess what? Every single one of us, me included, has suffered through pain. Every single one. Every human being on the planet has suffering, great suffering. And we all just try to figure out a way to deal with that suffering, that pain. Some of us bottle it and try to forget about it. And then it shows up as cancer 20 years later. Some of us get really angry and defensive and yell at everybody. Some of us just shut down and sit in the side of a corner and like try to pretend that it doesn't happen. Other people medicate themselves. Other people drink themselves into a stupor. Certain people drug themselves so much that they overdose, right? Like every single person deals with it in some way, shape, or form. We have to. We have to. Like there's not a human being on the planet that doesn't deal with pain. My mission in life is to give people tools. That's what Have It All Academy is all about, is give people tools so that they can see the pain for what it is. Just a lesson. Just a way the universe or God or whatever you want to call it sends you a signal and says, hey, Mr. or Mrs., you should really take a look at this. Because if you don't, this is going to really come back to bite you in the ass. And so what I've done is I've actually developed a relationship to those events, to those circumstances. So when they arise in my life, which they do, and they will to the day I die, right? I don't have it all figured out by no stretch of the imagination. I hope I never fucking have it all figured out. But I know that my relationship to when stuff like that occurs is very different than most people's. I embrace it. I look forward to things like that in my life. Because every time I have an interaction with someone that they give me some sort of critique, or it doesn't land right, or my communication doesn't land, or the result that we tried to produce didn't get produced, that's an opportunity for me. And that's the partnership that I created with it. And so what I want to leave you guys with here today is just what is your relationship to certain things in life? And does that relationship serve you or not? You know, one of the things that just popped in my head was alcohol, for example. You know, like certain people, or sugar or snacks or whatever, certain people have relationships to that. And that relationship will dictate that interaction. If your relationship to the food that you eat is that this is healthy, this is supporting me, this is going to give me optimal performance, you're just going to make better choices because that's your relationship. If your relationship is, oh, this is going to make me fat, this is going to make me tired, I can't believe I'm doing this, then you're going to get more of that because that's the relationship you signed up for. So today, just like when this is done, and after you listen to this, sit down and look at what relationships you have in your life to these things. And if something in your life isn't working to attend to the level that you want it, I guarantee you is because that relationship is oppositional. It's not a partnership. And think, if that diet or health or circumstance was another person, what kind of conversation would you have with them to create a partnership in that world? And that'll give you incredible access to something that was not there before. I promise. So that's a great message for today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to find out more about this kind of training and things like that we do, we're going to launch a new webinar series that we're going to do every 2 weeks where we talk about things like this. You're going to be able to find it at SatoriPrime.com/have-it-all. Again, SatoriPrime.com/have-it-all. I don't think the page is built yet. Maybe by the time you listen to it, it is. But for those that are on live, it's not completed as of yet. But it should be up here in the next week or two when this thing will actually launch on the podcast. So with that, have an amazing, amazing day, my friends. And I would love to hear from you about what area of your life you're going to work on to alter that relationship and actually create partnership with. Love you all. We'll talk real soon.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my eyes? Did you walk through walls till you had to grow? Oh my God, you're smart. I must sound less cold.